Okay, everyone, we're back, and we have an episode, a topic today that really just needs to be embraced.
Literally
embraced. And so, if you've never been here before, listen to us. I'm Jam.
And I'm Jason.
This is Podcast for Your Life. And today, for only the second time, we have a guest.
Very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself, special guest?
Hi, I'm here. My name is Katherine, and I'm here to talk about our topic.
Which is, what's our topic?
Our topic today is hugs.
Hugs.
And what are they?
Mm-hmm.
Hugs. Katherine is actually also the suggester, sort of this topic. And
this is the first time we have somebody on the show who has suggested the topic and happens to be the interviewee. Historic moment.
I'm glad to make history for you.
And it's kind of rare, too, because not always does it line up the right way, but as we talked a little bit about hugs, we didn't want to get too into it because we wanted to have this conversation happen on air. We realized that Katherine wasn't only a submitter of a topic suggestion, but also a pretty good opinion to add to the pot of hugs.
Yeah. An average opinion, because, again, we don't provide quality insights on the show.
Yeah. None of us are experts at all on hugs. So let's start with what are hugs. What would be y'all's best, take at a definition, layman's definition of a hug?
If I can, cut in and go first, I think I would just say that a hug is a physical way for humans to greet one another in at a 90-degree angle with their arms.
A 90-degree angle? That's an interesting way of putting it. But it kind of is true. Yeah. Wow.
I would say that it's like a handshake, but with your entire body.
Yeah.
All of these are so awkward.
So...
And mathematical.
Yeah. Anything else needs to be added, Jason?
Yeah, being able to welcome each other or show care for another person.
Yeah.
With your arms.
With your arms and your body and your
and
at
your
least
torso.
your torso. I guess it's hard to leg hug. That's probably a little weird.
That's probably a topic for another day.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, I don't have much experience with those. So.
Hugs almost certainly have a lot of history, and we're not going to really go into all of that. There's all kinds of hugs. We might go into a little bit of that. It's probably been around for a long time and has evolved over different scenarios. Maybe it used to be more common to hug in one type of scenario than another. But mostly, I think we're going to be talking about kind of the today approach to hugs, our experience with them, and what we do or do not like about them, etc. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. So let's move on into why people hug. Why even have this weird 90-degree connection with another human being?
That's a hard question because that's something that I've never quite been able to wrap my mind around.
You haven't been able to wrap your mind around it. Do you have a hypothesis of why others do it?
I mean, I think some people receive some kind of emotional gratification from physical touch and human interaction.
And you don't.
I love how she's so removed from this. It's like, looking at the human species actions of hugging. It's great. It's very scientific.
Hugging is something that other people would like me to do, but it's not something that means anything to me.
Yeah. And I can see that a little bit. I definitely have had hugs that I've felt nothing about. It's an obligatory hug, somebody who's definitely a hugger, and you just have to...
Right.
You don't have a way out. So I know that feeling, but it is interesting to think about feeling that feeling of nothing in any hug situation. It's only been a sort of a specific category of the hugs I've experienced that have been very nothing. But it is strange because you have this mismatch of people who hug because it makes a big difference for them. They feel something specific.
Right.
And people who don't, and yet... Sometimes these things collide into one hug of differing.
So I know that feeling of being hugged by somebody who you know is going to hug you and you don't want to hug them back, but you have to because they're a quote unquote a hugger. Is that how you feel all the time with hugs? Oh, here comes another hug.
I wouldn't say exactly that.
Okay.
People know that I don't like hugs because or that at least I'm not a hugger because I don't usually reciprocate them very well. I just kind of go through the motions. Like if you're hugging just like a box or
That sounds so cold.
like a robot that was
a warm box.
that was like programmed to pat you on the back.
Right.
It's just like a, a rote movement for
Interesting.
me. But because people know that, huggers will start to come at me and then they'll recoil and get embarrassed and be like, oh, you don't like hugs?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I have to be like, no, it's fine. Like, I
Yeah.
don't even notice it's happening. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
I'll pat you on the back like I do with everyone. But it doesn't have... I don't hate them,
Yeah.
but I don't really think about them.
Nice. Okay, so that's cool. So you're kind of like a true in the middle, like, place to be. You don't hate them. I think there are people that hate them. And the
Right.
idea of like someone coming up and hugging them is almost like, oh, please get away from me.
Don't touch me.
Don't touch me. Yeah. But so you're very much in the middle. It's like you don't hate the interaction. It just doesn't do anything for you. So there's nothing to like about it.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely feel that way sometimes. Like, there's also the whole area of things to get into about, like, when it's appropriate to hug and not. And I think sometimes that responsibility lies with guys more so. Like, we need to be... I think it's important for us to be careful about, like, who we do and do not hug. And I know there's been situations where dudes can be, like, sort of oppressive about their hugging approach. And people feel like they don't really have, like, a way to say no. You know what I mean? And so then I feel like I need to be pretty specific about who I care about hugging and who I don't. So for me, family, of course, I'll hug, and it feels like it means something to me. It's like a hello and goodbye greeting, but I don't do a lot of like intermittent hugging throughout a conversation. With more like a bookend kind of thing. I'll hug my wife. That's probably my favorite category of hug is the wife hug.
Yeah, it's definitely my most common one.
Yeah, but I don't do a lot of hugging coworkers or, classmates when I was in school or anything like that.
Well, that is a little weird.
I mean, hey, you just kind of made a category though, so it is weird. But why?
Historically, I don't think that most people, at least most guys, don't hug their coworkers on both sides of the gender spectrum.
Okay, cool. So do we test this out? Should we hug just to see if?
Just walk in the office one day and stand at the door.
I think there's a lot of things that have to do with it, like the age of the person initiating the hug. Yeah, I think the gender also comes into play. But I think it's just weird. There's like some people who you're just like, I'm totally comfortable hugging this person right now, and I know that they're probably going to initiate something like that. When there's other people who it's like, oh, I wasn't even thinking about giving this person a hug. Like it doesn't even cross your mind. And I'm talking more about like the friend, acquaintance, kind of murky area, not necessarily like a friend you haven't seen in like 10 years that you're good friends with. So I think there's like this, I don't know, there's like this kind of murky area where we're like, I don't know if I'm supposed to hug. You're like thinking more about, hey, do I hug this person? Do I not?
Well, here's the thing that I think you can really help us with.
Okay.
What are some of the girl hug norms? And have you had to like submit to those, or have you been able to escape them?
I think that I completely bulldoze them and just do the same thing every time. Like, I'm probably one of the worst people to ask about hugging norms because I don't pay attention to them. If you come at me with a hug, I'm not really going to think about it. I'm just going to continue to face you from the side, and I'm going to pat you on the back. And that's what's going to happen every time.
Is this true only to hugs in terms of like, you said you don't really understand the norms and you kind of bulldoze over them and you don't see them? Is that only for hugs? Like in other social scenarios, are you able to pick up on those kinds of cues?
I think it's only hugs.
Nice.
Wow.
I like the pat on the back. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
In the sense of, I feel like it's almost like, let go.
Yeah. Okay, we're done. And 3 and 2 and 1
it's
and...
like, and squeeze. Okay, and start to...
Yeah. So here's another question. Do you know what the handshake hug is? Not a hand hug. No, not that. Handshake and hug.
No.
Okay.
Guys do this a lot.
Yeah, this is a guy sort of normal, and it's a great way to sort of only half hug somebody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you come in, the right hand is always the handshake hand.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
Yep.
Yeah. You shake the hand.
Yep.
And then both of you with your left hand do a kind of like around the shoulder pat kind of deal.
So you're only hugging half the person.
Yeah. And it's super brief too. Like it's totally normal to just do one pat and then let things subside. What I like about this is it's a handshake, and there's a distance still between you. You don't actually get into each other's like torso area,
Right.
and it's over super quickly. And it can be a like slightly more friendly than a colleague or coworker, but it can be done with somebody you've met only a couple times too.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if I've ever seen a woman do that. I know what you're saying.
it is kind of broy.
No one's ever approached me with that before.
And I have no idea what the female equivalent would be for that. So I guess it makes sense that there might not be one.
I don't think that. Yeah, I definitely don't think there is one. Yeah, what's great about those is that for those who want to hug, they feel like I can hug this person, and for those who just want to do a handshake, and so they were expecting just a handshake, they don't feel as like violated. Like if you go with a hug, you're like vulnerable. You're all out there just wrapping somebody else up or being wrapped up if you're not the one giving the hug. And with this kind of handshake hug, it's kind of a middle ground where everybody's happy, where it's like, okay, I'm not too hugged out, and another person's like, okay, at least I got a little bit of a hug in.
But then sometimes people can be offended because they think you're just trying to like not hug them, like not do a real hug.
I've never felt that with the handshake hug. Really?
I've had people express that to me.
Really?
Like, what has people been offended, Catherine, whenever you've not wanted to hug them?
Yes. Okay. So in college, there was a guy that entered into our friend group, and I unfortunately was the first person he tried to hug. And so then he didn't try to hug anyone else in our friend group, and he was a very affectionate kind of person.
Oh, man.
Because he said, they're all like this.
What do you mean they're all like this?
They're all cold and standoffish.
Okay. Wow. That's terrible. The other girls are probably really mad. They're like, oh, dang it, why'd Catherine have to go first?
Yeah. I ruined their chances.
Do we have time for a kind of awkward hug story?
As long as it's good.
I don't know. It's. I don't really want to relive it, but let's do it. Okay, so this combines the sometimes awkwardness between men and women hugs, but also in a professional setting. So two different kind of awkward spots. All right. So I was having like a sort of business meeting kind of thing, sharing about the work that I do. And with somebody I'd met a few times. We were not friends at all, but we'd met a few times when I was still in college. And I was at a coffee shop. She walked up, and I was trying to, interpret the body language, and I was also like kind of thinking about what I was going to be talking about because we didn't have a lot of time. And as she was walking up, I started interpreting that she was wanting to hug. Like I just was trying to read the body language real quick. I was like, okay, whatever. And I just reacted to that thinking I just want to make things go smoothly. I don't want to have an immediate like, ooh, I don't want to hug. But to be clear, I did not want to hug, and it's not my favorite thing in the world, all right? So I respond to what I think is sort of the initiation of a hug. And as we're hugging, it's a split-second kind of deal. I know for sure, it's a very quick hug. I knew for sure that I was the one that initiated it. And that I misread whatever signs. And I thought about that moment many times because I was just like, ugh. Have you ever experienced something like that?
Probably, but that sounds pretty bad. Yeah, there really is a split-second decision that you have to make when it comes to hugs. Because otherwise, I don't know. There just seems to be this awkwardness. Like, I think if everybody was more willing to receive hugs, I think the awkwardness wouldn't be there. But still,
or people were less willing to give them.
Right.
Or if they were less willing to give them. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
If they were less intentional in giving their hugs or less like prone to give hugs.
I kind of go with Catherine because if it was less of a norm and it was easier to assume, there's probably no hint of a hug initiation here. It's probably like if it was less normal, less like a common thing to hug.
Right.
I would have
Wasn't
interpreted
norm.
that. Yeah. I would have interpreted it as like, nope, there's no hug signs here. But I think about that all the time. What's
A
that?
simple handshake will suffice.
Yeah, a handshake or like, it's just there's got to be.
A half second of eye contact is a decent greeting.
Or if we had the bowing to me is a really good.
Or like the European or Middle Eastern kiss on the cheek.
The bees.
See that I'm not a huge fan of like a bow and like a sort of acknowledging of respect to one another.
Right. That doesn't involve touching cheeks with someone.
It doesn't,
True.
and you don't have to touch their hands either. Supposedly that's a big deal because germs and yeah.
Namaste.
Namaste. Okay, I think that's all the time we have.
Yeah, so if you want to give me a hug, that's fine. I didn't give you my last name, so you'll have to find me first.
Consider that a challenge, guys.
Yeah, try to find Katherine and give her a hug.
Where's Waldo? Yeah, the moral of the story would be brace yourself to embrace yourself.
I'll brace myself.
Brace yourself or embrace yourself.
See you guys next time.